Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar, European Road Freight from Disruptions to Solutions, organized by 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮𝘮, Tendereasy, and 𝘱𝘱𝘳𝘮𝘮, and our partner, Upply. My name is Marta, and today I'm happy to be the host of this webinar, together with my colleagues, Gerrit and Frederick from 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮, Gerrit representing 𝘱𝘱𝘳𝘮 and Frederick representing Tendereasy, and joined by Thomas Laurier, the CEO of Upply. Before we start, a couple of practical info points. You all have joined the session on mute, but you are open to ask questions anytime during the session on the chat tab that you can find on your bottom right, at the bottom right of your screen, and we will have a dedicated Q&A at the end of the session. We will also be launching some polls that you can also answer on the polls section, also on the bottom right. And by default, also, this session is being recorded, and you will all receive the link to this recording tomorrow in case you would like to rewatch and share with some colleagues. And just before we start, let me say a couple of words about 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮𝘮 and also about Upply. 𝘱𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨 is a leading global logistics software company that combines different type of softwares that include 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨 TMS, which is an end-to-end solution for shippers, which includes 𝘱𝘱𝘳𝘮𝑗, which is the 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨's European freight exchange community, and Tendereasy, which is a world-leading digital freight procurement tool made in Sweden, and that also became part of the group a few years ago. Our partner company, Upply, combines transport expertise and data science to bring freight and supply chain professionals to a digital solution to benchmark, track, and participate freight transport prices. This solution also helps shippers, carriers, and freight forwarders in the decision-making. So it's a match made in heaven that all of us are here today to talk about a very relevant topic, which is the challenges, the disruptions in the market. Very briefly, this is what we will be covering this afternoon. So we will, of course, talk about the current state of the market, the challenges, and also the new boundaries and the new challenges that are coming up and that we are facing every day. And of course, we will also be discussing solutions and ways that we can, ways and solutions to tackle those challenges, right? And as I already said before, we will end up with a Q&A where we will be happy to answer all your questions, hesitations, doubts, or any other topic you would like to tackle. And without any further ado, Thomas, over to you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marta. Please, once again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them directly in the Q&A or in the chat, in the questions part on your screen. We will try to answer at the end, but also maybe during the presentation directly if this is relevant to the discussions that we are having. On my side, so I will mainly introduce. First there is we have a small poll tool.
Yes,
Marta, maybe
indeed. Before we actually tackle all those issues, I forgot that we want to also get to know our audience today. So you are probably here because you are also facing some challenges and you also have some objectives for 2022, for the rest of 2022. So we are launching right now a quick poll to know what is your main objective for the rest of the year. Are you looking into optimizing your freight investments? It's more about risk mitigation, or are you mostly working on sustainability, the network design part? So let's give a couple of minutes to get your answers in. You can do it on the right bottom tab, polls on your screen, and also probably you have an open pop-up on your window. Okay, a lot of answers coming in. Let's give it a couple of more seconds.
Yes, exactly, and I think we will use this answer. I mean, if you answering through the discussions and if new people are coming in, we will try to have a look quite frequently at the pool and try to use your answers within the discussions that we are just to start regarding the current challenges of the market. So here, Marta, you want maybe to
Yeah, no, I think most of the votes are already in. So
Okay,
indeed, if you're
good.
gonna have a look on the poll section, you all can see a bit the overview of the results. And then, yeah, Thomas, I let you continue and also mention the poll.
Okay, perfect. For now, it's a very split decision, let's say. I think
Hmm.
36, 33, 32%. We have at least these propositions were quite accurate and relevant to the challenges that we are all facing. Regarding this slide that you have over there, this is a sum up of all the big topics that we are covering right now on the market. I won't go through all of them, but if I can try to sum up in two or three points, and mainly from an economical perspective, finally, because this is a mix between we have after the COVID crisis, we have a high demand. The demand is very high at the moment. There are some questions regarding the high level of demand with the current crisis, the post-COVID crisis, economical crisis that we are facing right now. But anyway, with the e-commerce part, all the web part, and all the small parcels that we are facing, we are anticipating, and people on the market, and I will quote the transport intelligence figures. We're expecting a growth of the demand of transportation of about 3 to 4% for the following years and the years to come. So demand is high, and it will continue to increase. And on the reverse, we have an offer that is, very complex, because we have a driver shortage, and we will see that we have a mobility package that is mixing also with all the rest. And so we have very high demand, we have a low offer, and this is then in the result high prices, and these high prices are exacerbated, and they are more and more high because of, in addition, the cost of fuel, the cost of the basic material to build a truck, and the fact that to buy a truck right now, you need to wait 1 year or 2 years. So all these tensions that we are facing on the market, we have a high demand, we have a low offer, a lot of frictions that are in addition, and we will see that it will result in high prices that are reflecting a lot of part, and a lot of difficulties that we have on the market. And we will see that with Gerrit and Frederick, but we have also regarding prices, but also regarding the quantities, or let's say the tenders, and a lot of differences that are happening on this part. So let's directly jump. On my side, I will talk about driver shortage with some figures that are available on the market, about the prices also, and then we will have a discussion directly, all the three of us, regarding all these points, with the main idea to have in mind that this is what is on the market right now. This is what we see, and we will try to see that with quantitative data, and to try to think about what might be the solution to it. And of course, we are all the three and the four of us right now working on the digital sector of the supply chain, let's say the software part. So the idea is also to use this digital breakthrough and all these digital solutions to try to optimize all the supply chain and transportation. Regarding a shortage of drivers, so you see the figures here. The driver shortage is increasing. The conflict in Ukraine and is putting more weight on some close country like Poland, for instance, and we know that Poland is a key point of Europe regarding road transportation. So driver shortage is a big topic. This is a structural issue that we have in Europe. There are many aspects to that. We are, of course, there is the fact that the drivers that are on the market today are quite old. If we are taking the European data, and these data over there are from the International Road Union, if we are using our last report, more than 35% of the drivers today are above 55 years old. So we need new people, and this is very complex to attract them. So to attract them, there is many solutions, and one is increasing salary. This has been done at the beginning of the year. Maybe we'll need to they will need to have additional increases, and when we talk about that, then this is increase in price and all the rest. So this is the first part regarding the shortage of driver, the first focus that we wanted to put here. I will then go on the prices.
If I may maybe add something here, Thomas, because from my job as a representative of 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘮𝘮𝘦, I'm already now for 25, 26 years on a daily contact with the actual carriers, so those who are executing the transport for the industry. And for many, many years, the price has always been their top topic in a way to how will I survive? How will I get to my profit margins? Because the price was always dictated by shippers. The last 1 year more, I think it's really the main topic that they are asking me as well. How can we get more drivers there? So the driver shortage is really what's driving them mad almost, I think. It's and not only drivers, by the way, also dispatchers, in a way, warehouse employees. I think it's all over. The customers also mentioned, the carriers really mentioned, they want to expand their fleet, or at least replace their fleet with Euro 6 or whatever. But it really blocks them at this moment to further develop their companies, because they are limited to what there is. They are really stressing also towards the national road haulage federations to really try indeed to get the sector more interesting for young people, because I think there lies also quite a big problem. That it's I think we all know a bit how it is in transport and logistics. It's long working days, and not always rewarded. And young people apparently more and more want to be home at a certain time. So it's really, if the driver shortage will be solved, then the delivery of trucks will be the next problem. So difficult to find an answers. It's really work together more. I think that's the most important thing they are looking for now.
Yeah, thank you, Gerrit. I mean, this is a big topic, and this is a topic that will last for the years to come. So need to be tackled, as you say. If now we are taking some data directly from the market, so we have 2 slides over there. This one and this one is at European level. This is an index that we are building at Upply. This index here is the evolution of prices starting from 100. It's a basket of different countries in Europe, mainly for full trucks, and we have a mix between spot and contractual prices. Of course, a lot of data is available at Upply. This is what we are doing. This is our job. So we have data regarding FTL, LTL, spot, contractual, and all these different sectors. But here we see quite clearly that prices are going high. They are going high because of fuel, of course, but not only. And the unbalance that we have between offer and demand is also a strong driver of that. I know that Frederick and Gerrit were talking also regarding the fact that shippers today are asking if they need to renew or not their tenders, and is it a good moment, or maybe I mean, what do you think about that?
Yes, Frederick here. Absolutely, Thomas. I mean, that is the key questions that we're being asked by all our customers today. What should I do? When should I do it? And where should I do it? And I think the paralysis of the COVID years has abated somewhat, but now comes the next question. They have managed to move as best they can on the spot market situation, buying and selling loads left, right, and center, wherever they can find it. But now comes the key question: how can we achieve a sustainable solution going forward? And that also incorporates having to bite the bullet and realize that costs are going to be on a substantially higher level when they recontract to get some stability. So many of our customers have been trying to sort of ride out the storm through spots and hope that things will return to normality. But if we go back to all the issues that we faced and listed before here, right? It's a bit like a perfect storm. All these things converge and make it a very problematic reality to face. And yes, cost will be higher to move transports across Europe going forward. Absolutely.
Gareth here. That's indeed what I hear with on the carrier side as well. Especially the larger shippers started reaching out to the carriers already early August, September last year, if they could renegotiate already the contracts for this year and maybe even the year to come without writing a tender or whatever. So really stick to what you have in a way, so to say. And so I think that's a good thing, that the discussion now shifts from discussion on only price, but also on quality of service, reliability of service, and those type of things. And that given this fact, and also shippers are very conscious about cost increases by carriers as well. So I have been in contact with quite some companies that have been able to negotiate a 10 to 15% price increase for remaining the same level of service. And for as far as I hear up till now, both parties are happy with that in a way. So at the end, probably you and I will pay for it, because it's the end the consumer that will pay for everything. But it's but I think it's that talking to each other is already a good move forward, I think. And the 10 to 15%, by the way, is excluding fuel surcharges, because there's hardly any shipper that doesn't accept a fuel surcharge anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This answer one of the points, one of the questions regarding the fuel impact. This is not viewed clearly here in the report that this graph is taken from a report that we have at Upply that is free of charge, available on our website, and there is the precise impact of the fuel. But as you say, Gerrit, the discussion right now are increase of between about 10% without the fuel surcharge.
Yes.
So, and if you add the fuel, we know that the price of fuel is skyrocketing and is about 30% of the total cost. So it's quite important.
Yes, and I mean, from procurement point of view, I can confirm this as well. I mean, pre-COVID, fixed prices, including fuel and whatever else that came on top, was quite common by major shippers to impose on the port carrier community. Now we don't see that. It is a fully transparent component now with the fuel, and also regulatory taxes. So it has shifted quite significantly in that respect.
Just another example here. This is a focus on France and on two countries that we have selected, France and Poland to Germany. Just to say that, but first regarding France, we are in euro-kilometer over there. Of course, the year 2022 is not exactly the same than the previous one, and we see the price increasing very strongly. This is quite relevant with the graph that we have seen just before. And the Poland to Germany is quite interesting also, because here the increase of price is just huge. If we are looking at the beginning of what a base basket of 100, we are above the 145, so an increase of price higher than 40%, 45%. So this is here including the fuel for a full truckload. This is an important point. And the impact of all the driver shortage, but also the mobility package, will have different impacts in Europe. And Gerrit, we were talking about that just previously, but regarding the reverse, saying that trucks that need to go to Poland, that might have a different view.
Yep. I think maybe you see it already, or maybe it's a sign already on the slide on the right side, the Poland, Germany, where we see a small decrease in the price evaluation. So I think there indeed, the fact that the Polish are the transport nation, European transport nation at this moment, So that means that from now, a lot of trucks must go back to Poland again more frequent, including the trailers, which at first I believe everybody thought that it was only the truck and the driver, but apparently also now the European community thought it's also maybe wise to have the trailers go back as well. So what I really expect indeed is that there will be a lot of driving up and down to Poland, which most probably will evolve in a lower price on that trade lane, because there will be that much capacity from and to Poland that maybe it would be a good idea to start a factory maybe in Poland or something. So all prices will go up. There is no doubt about that. But Poland, I'm interested to see what's going to happen there.
Maybe now that we are on the topic, there are a couple of questions that maybe we want to tackle. Somebody from the audience is asking if you can confirm that we assume that the fuel is more or less 30% of the total cost, based on what you have been discussing. It was just somebody asking for confirmation on this, based on your graphs and what you have explained a bit.
Yeah. I think if I see an average transport company in Holland, Belgium, Germany, there indeed it will be around that percentage, maybe even a bit higher in some cases. Fuel cost in former Eastern European countries will be probably maybe even higher, because the wages of the drivers are lower, of course. So in Holland, normally it's about 30-35% fuel, 30-35% on the driver, and then 30-35% on depreciation of the truck and staff, of course, dispatchers, administrators, and whatever. So yes, I think 30-35% is the average percentage of fuel.
Yeah, and my point was really the one of Gerrit. I was not talking about the fuel surcharge, that might be different, of course, but regarding the total cost of a truck for a carrier company, this is about 1/3, and of course the fuel is increasing and is starting to be the major cost part.
Okay, great, thanks. And I think somebody else is also asking from the graphs, Thomas, that you were explaining. The price index has risen about 10% since 2017, and then he's mentioning that their dedicated fleet got more expensive, about 30-40% in the latest years.
Yeah.
So is it probably related to the different factors that you are looking into? Maybe you can also comment a bit more, because probably there are a lot of variations.
Yes, and I think you were talking about this graph over there. This graph, to be honest, is an aggregated view of all the costs in Europe, a weighted average basket without the fuel. So this is important to have in mind, without the fuel. And I think that you might be talking about including the fuel. And anyway, we have seen it in Poland. This is 45%. I mean, from Poland to Germany. So there is very high variations. You have some other countries that were a bit decreasing or quite stable. So this is a weighted average that we are using for some years now, that is quite accurate from with the feedback that we received. And then the good thing is that you can, I mean, with the data that we have and that we are sharing with Tendereasy and 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘳𝘢, that you can have a look directly on your specific corridor and benchmark it directly. This is the objective, finally, of this partnership, to have to know exactly what is on the market right now. What are you paying? Maybe you're paying higher prices because you have a higher quality, and this is completely normal, but at least you have quantitative data from the market to make these comparisons.
Great, thank you. All right, let's move on to the next topic then.
Okay. So this is then the view from the procurement side, so from the Tendereasy perspective with our customers. So we took the view of starting what seemed to be the last normal year from a procurement point of view, starting in 2018, and we moved into 2019, which also to a large extent was quite normal, up to the point it wasn't. But this would then have represented a normal evolution of activities with our customers on our platform across our different functionalities. So RFQs is for long-term contracting, Spot is for the ad hoc needs. And rate management is where you basically adjust your contracts with your incumbent carriers as you move through your contract period. So 2019 is a typical normal year. You would expect the activities of RFQs over our platform with any of our customers to increase, because obviously one of the benefits of having a digital platform is to become more efficient, which means that with your resources, you can do more activities and thereby leverage the power of procurement more often. Then in 2020, state of paralysis, complete lockdown. We all know this. Coming then out of COVID with the vaccination program rolling out, we saw a very significant shift in the behavior in the procurement community. So the immediate need was to start moving products again and move them fast. You don't know if your contracted carriers exist anymore, or if they have the capacity or drivers in the right place to support your business. So a lot of it went to the spot market. So that exploded. And you also had an explosion of adjusting your rates with the carriers that you were still doing business with. And a very, very limited effort on the RFQ side. And basically, it was only customers that had to face the music, go to the market, because basically the carriers did not exist anymore, or quite frankly, rejected their loads. So they needed to go and find a new solution. Then in 2022, this only escalated, but now we start to see a bit more stability. So a lot more activity in rate management, meaning adjusting your prices, adjusting for more capacity as you grow your business again, rather than go out in the market, which was the way you did in 2018, 2019. If you had more volume, you put it to an RFQ. These days, you go first to your incumbent carriers to see if you can solve that in a more lean way. But also, spot is continuing to rise because things happen so fast these days, you cannot keep up with long-term contracting. That's a fact. RFQs are also rising, but it's rising for a different reason. It's because if we take the European perspective, pre-COVID, we basically had, the norm was that you did pan-European RFQs. So all the countries, all international transports, from west to east, from north to south, you bundle that, and volume was your friend. So you put all your volumes in one big basket, you invited a lot of carriers, and there was a lot of hustle and bustle around that RFQ. These days, we're seeing a completely different pattern. When you go to market, you are very dedicated to a specific region, specific lanes, and you basically run very surgical RFQs at a very much accelerated RFQ cycle. So really trying to be more precise. And this, of course, drives activity, but it also accelerates the process of an RFQ. And this is something that I see will continue. I don't think we will see a return to pan-European 5,000 carrier invited RFQs in the near future. Good. Move to next.
Yeah, there a bit what we see in our freight exchange community. Also looking back to 2017, and so there we see an overall increase of activities or on freights posted in our platform. So Teleroute typically from the beginning has been a spot market tool where freights were offered that the carriers could not handle themselves at a certain time, but it was, to put it in a bit bad way, it were the leftovers. That was 35 years ago. Currently, Teleroute Freight Exchange, we are in the market already for 35 years, so we are a well-perceived platform. So what we see here is an increase based on our company growing, but also on the fact that we are buying more and more stuff, everybody as well. So the overall transport market is increasing as well, or tries to increase if there would be enough drivers there. So what we see here is The growth stopped in 2020, so there was a bit of a decline because a lot of factories were closed down during COVID, so production really moved to a lower numbers. It's been picking up now, and especially if you see the blue line and the brown line there. The blue line, so if you compare to 2017, we have more than 100% growth of volumes in our platform. Secondly, we see on the brown line that those freights are more difficult to trade on our platform. So that means that the ones who have the freight need to repost them in our platform to try to get attention again to the freights that they have there. So Teleroute, we are always monitoring. A very important figure for us is how is the balance between companies that are posting freight and companies that are consulting freight. And I can tell you at this moment, we are really looking on getting more companies on board that can handle the freight that are posted in our platform by either the freight forwarders or colleague carriers to help each other out to at least make sure that the empty running goes down and that the capacity that's available, that is used to the maximum. So growth there, but also a clear sign on that it becomes more and more difficult to find capacity here.
Yes, indeed, Gerrit, and I can echo that from the Tendereasy perspective and the spot functionality used by our customers, because we see a very dramatic increase of attempting to rebook already concluded spot requests. It's a possibility in our platform that you basically can try to rebook as often as you can until the carrier will say thank you, but no thank you. So before it was always a one-to-one relationship. You posted a spot, you contracted the price, and you moved the load, and that was it. But now we see our shippers are coming back and trying to then book and cascade that booking down to any other participant in that spot event to see if they can move that second load, the third load, the fourth load, the fifth load, also of the spot. And again, for me, that is also a clear indicator that still today there is a lot of what used to be contracted volumes that are still moving on spot, because if you try to rebook over and over again, it's clearly that you have volume that is moving on a steady basis, and historically that would have been a long-term contract. So yes,
I agree.
Okay, on the mobility package, I think we talk a bit about that at the beginning, and we're talking about the impact on prices also regarding Poland and all these parts. You were talking about the trailers also, Gerrit, and this is ongoing. Let's say this will have, I think, a strong impact. The European Commission in their study was expecting to have a price increase, an impact on the price about 5 to 10%. This study was made one or two, it was 18 months ago exactly. So this is, but in their view, this will have an impact on the price. The fact that drivers need to go back to their home stations, not only drivers, but also the trailers need to go back. This will have an impact on the network optimization, but also, and of course, on the price. And regarding the network, the fact that the truck need to go back maybe empty or half full, this is exactly a place for optimization, and a place where with the digital tools that we have and with the new tools that are available, I think there is a place for shippers and for carriers of freight forwarders to try to use these tools. I was with someone yesterday that just told me the most efficient way to earn money in the supply chain, and also for the global warming, is to not transport, basically. If you don't transport, you will not emit CO2 and all the rest. So if you can bundle two loads, or if you can directly optimize your network, this is the good things to do, of course. And mobility package will put a new layer of difficulties in that, but maybe also new opportunities. I don't know if on your side, Frederick and Gerrit, you want to add something on this point, because we already talked about it, but please feel free.
I think there it's an interesting to try indeed to either reduce or stop move your goods from A to B. I think it's going to be quite difficult, especially in Holland, because I would really not know which farmer I have to go to buy the cheese, and then I have to buy somewhere a bike as well, and I don't know if I then have to cycle all the way to China maybe to. So I think reducing traffic is going to be difficult already, because Europe is growing, the number of people living here is growing, so we are getting wealthier in most of the cases, so there will be more and more goods moved to A to B. So I think it's very, very important that you utilize everything up to the maximum. And there, I'm a guy from a long time ago. In transport, there were possibilities there when I started 30 years ago. If you had a part load or a groupage shipment from Holland to Germany, you were allowed to take 72 hours for that. Now you must pick it up this afternoon and deliver it tomorrow. So maybe carriers and shippers, maybe also together, should sit more a bit together. Do we really need to move goods every day? Or can we bundle things to have bigger consignments or whatever? Because if we continue doing it the way we do now, and again, I love the idea to find the cheese myself, but I don't think it's going to work if you are IKEA or something like that.
Yeah.
No, you're right, and this is directly linked with the fact also that when you have more time to ship it, if the shipper is okay with it, and of course the shippers will answer only to the final consumers, meaning ourselves. If we are okay to not have something for the day after tomorrow, maybe we can optimize the network and also use alternative ways of and this is linked to, I saw a lot of questions regarding that, regarding the rail or the sea freight or barge. These are some questions, of course, that are very important and relevant regarding not here directly the mobility package, of course, but all the sustainability part that we will see just after.
Yes. And I mean, the mobility package, although it has been rolled out over several years now, we're just starting to see the impact of what it actually means for the carriers and for the shippers and the end consumers. Yeah. And I mean, if we... Yes,
sorry. Freddie, go ahead.
So I was going to the next page, which is basically painting the picture that, I mean, it doesn't stop with mobility package being rolled out. We're heading towards a complete transformation of how we move products and people across the globe, right? You may know Fit for 55. It's the ambition to reduce by 55% the emissions to 2030, I think it is, if I remember well. And then, of course, the zero emission ambition of the EU by 2050. I mean, it will drive regulatory activities, mobility package 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, most probably will come as a result as we move forward in this. And then, of course, autonomous driving, hot potato, big topic. When will it be legally allowed to do on a grand scale? And how can we accommodate that transition? So, I think with that, we can move to next.
Sorry, let me unmute myself, because otherwise it's gonna be me talking to myself, and that's it's maybe nice for the audience, but it doesn't bring that much out. No, so really, indeed, if you look at the long-term strategy of emission reduction, it's a very full mouthful. It's That's really the topic, I think, where what I'm noticing, especially with the mid-size, smaller transport companies, really, they are not really aware what's coming towards them. I think it's shippers will at a certain stage start dictating that they need to be provided with CO2 emission figures, because that's demanded by the European European community there. So in a way, we at Teleroute are looking at those things with our customers as well. And so we had a case study, or what Teleroute typically will do is help reducing empty running by companies by having access to a higher volume of freight. So instead accepting a freight from a close friend to load in Toulouse to Paris, if you are in Barcelona, why not have a look if there's a freight available from Barcelona to Paris? So that helps reducing empty running as well. Here as well, the figures, statistics or numbers never lie, maybe, but it's on average, people always think that empty trucks are running empty for about 40%. I think sea containers maybe run empty for 50%. Groupage trucks maybe for a certain percentage. So how do you measure empty running? So you can't always run full if you do LTL part loads, but the thing we are doing, indeed, helping our customers to utilize that truck as much as possible. One, to increase your revenues there, to increase the utilization of your truck, and to get more out every, especially now. If you drive empty 3 kilometers, it costs you now, let's say, €2 on fuel, where 1 year ago or a year and a half ago, it was only €1. So empty running really costs at this moment. And what we have been looking at with the statistics on the usage of Teleroute by a mid-size, larger customer from Teleroute is really also measured what it saved them on CO2 emission. And I think if I see 7.8K tons, for me, that sounds like a lot, although I can't really, it's not really tangible for me, but it's really like, and I think that as well, given the climate change that happens, I think this is for everybody becoming a more and more important. And I urge, especially the transport companies there, to start thinking about this as well. I don't know if any want to say something there, or shall we move to the next? Yeah, who gonna take this one? Frederick?
Yeah.
Yes, it helps.
There we are.
It helps. Thank you. So, from the shipper perspective in this context, I mean, it's a clear direction that shipper needs to consider. How can they become attractive shippers in the market? This is very much a carrier weighted market at this point in time, and shippers traditionally haven't been obliged to think that they need to behave in a good and fair way. But now it's really top of the agenda. How can we as a shipper become more attractive to carriers so we can actually move our loads with the carriers that we prefer to move it with? So increasing the payment cycle, or decreasing the payment cycle, I should say, increasing the speed by which the carrier will actually get paid is one of these efforts, supported by the freight exchange. Another such an initiative within the 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮 group is to ensure that when you are at the warehouses, the unloading, the loading sites, that the turn time for the carrier is as efficient as possible. Because if they have a choice of knowing that they will need to wait 1 to 2 hours to load their truck, no matter what is the slot that they received, compared to a 30-minute turn time guaranteed, they would choose to have that turn time, because again, with mobility package and the legislation about driving time, rest time, those minutes, those hours will actually mean whether they can take another load or not. So it's very important for the carrier community. Also, as 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮𝘮𝘦, we're trying to look a bit outside of the box. How can we help to facilitate the interaction of all the players in the market? And one such initiative is that we are now venturing into the arena of finding or matching drivers and carriers to one another, to see if we can help to facilitate that much needed rehiring of drivers in a more efficient and digital way. Anything that will help us to support this is what we're trying to facilitate here. And then, of course, the reason why the three of us are here, Thomas, Gerrit, and myself, I mean, what we are trying to bring together here in a way that will make sense to the market and actually help to mitigate all these issues and troubles that we have been discussing. I mean, our vision is that to basically put in the hands of the players in this transaction of moving road transport across Europe is to make available live information, live data, in a way that makes sense to this involved stakeholders. So combining the possibility to know what is the benchmark level in this market that I need to move my goods at. It gives an indication what you as a buyer needs to think about and how you should react in the market. Matching that to live capacity from the freight exchange will also give you an indication of whether it's a good time to try to stabilize your cost by going into contracting long term, or if you should just try to sweet talk your carriers into extending the existing contracts until the time is more in your favor as a shipper. And then, of course, with Tendereasy, the ability to quickly act on this information to find that actual price and that actual capacity with the carriers when you have that information. So it's really picking up speed, making the right decision at the right time, but at a much, much faster pace than what we have been used to pre-COVID.
Yeah, and if I may add something, Frederick, is that
yes.
I mean, we are pretty convinced that the volatility that we see on the market right now, on the road transportation market, will continue, and the market will still be volatile. I mean, if we are looking, this is not exactly the same, of course, and not the same magnitude, but on the sea freight market, prices during the COVID were completely crazy, multiplied by 3 or 4. This is not the same on the road transportation, but still, the simple fact that today carriers or freight forwarders are investing a lot in digital product to have dynamic pricing and to adjust their pricing quite easily, or at least with a very small cost. This is for us. This is showing that prices will fluctuate regarding offer and demand, and we might have more and more evolution of prices within the same year, for instance. And for that, we believe that to take the best decision when you have a high volatility of prices, and best is of course to have the data, to share the information, and to use the digital tools that are plugged together. If you share the information and then you can display this information in the day-to-day tool of our users, I think this is the best, clearly.
Exactly. And to further emphasize on the fact of making use of data quickly and at the right time at your fingertips, this is the latest addition to the Tendereasy platform, which is basically making the Upply benchmark data available directly in your freight procurement tool. So this is now live in our platform, and that will actually empower the freight buyers to immediately measure the the bids that they are receiving in the platform, whether it is spot or RFQ, and make the right decisions accordingly with the help of the Upply data set. So again, the collaboration that we're having is to put that data to good use, to empower people to make the right decisions at an ever increasing speed, basically.
Great. Well, first, thank you very much to the three of you for sharing all this, insights on the current situations and potential solutions. I think we are in a very good timing to kick off the Q&A session. We have already covered a few of those questions during the presentation, but I think now I do invite everybody else who maybe has still some questions or some comments to share them on the chat on the questions side, and we will try to go through some of them and be reassured that if there is anything we don't cover today, we can still discuss it offline, of course, on a one-to-one. There was a question in the previous discussion also about spot prices. Somebody was asking if there is a risk of implosion if this service is struggling because of the shortage of drivers. I think somehow we discussed it already, but maybe you have any further comments?
Yeah, there is always a risk if the balance shifts to one side or the other too far. Then you run a risk that maybe even a system stops. I see a question as well here from Joost. What is the success rate of the shipments posted on Teleroute? There it's really at a certain time, as now, there is that much freight in the market and that lower capacity, that depending on the trade lane, your successes are far lower than they would have been 2 years ago, for example. And so at a certain time, how I always say it, in some weeks or months, freight forwarders are very happy, because if they post the freight in Teleroute, they get a response, or maybe 10 responses within a minute, where now if they post the freight, they maybe solve only 4 out of 10 of their issues. And the question there always is, of course, when is the added value highest? If it's very easy to find the carrier, and where you can also discuss the price even lower, or when by using a platform like us, by working closer together with your peers, that at least you solve 4 of the 10 problems or challenges from your service level agreement you have with your shipper. So it's again, I think if the balance shifts too much to one side or the other, then that can become maybe even a stop still. I think standstill. Sorry.
Great, thank you. I think there were a few people in the audience asking for some info about Brexit in more detail, and I think, Thomas, you already answered here that it's something we can share afterwards. We didn't bring it today, but yes.
Yeah, you're right, and to be, I mean, we needed to put the Brexit on the top slides because this is a key topic. To be honest, we decided to select the slides and not put the slide and the graph regarding the prices of Brexit, because it's a graph that we have put in. I mean, this is let's say 6 months, years old, 6 months old graph. So it's not the topic, the current topic, but we do have the information. This is quite interesting. Also, prices went up by about 40% at a specific moment, and then decreases a bit. So please send us an email, and you have mine over there, 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘳𝘮𝑗@upply.com. We will send you the information. This is a public report that we have, so feel free to do it.
Yeah. And from a contracting point of view, I mean, we've had quite a huge surge of requests from our customers to find new carriers that will be able to cater for their needs, because with the hassle of border crossing and customs and everything that comes with that, it's very, very hard to find dependable carriers now that are willing to cross the channel. I think, Garrett, you know this even better than me.
There is far less Polish truck moving to and from the UK, indeed, through the hassle, and also UK not being European community anymore. So indeed, the Polish driver left. So I think there's also a lot of Polish shops will close in the UK because there is less Polish people live there.
Great, thank you very much. I think, Frederick, I saw you answering a question. There were a couple of questions related to using spot versus long-term contracts. And a bit, maybe you can comment a bit more for the audience who maybe haven't seen those answers. What is the recommendation, like having more fixed contracts versus a bit of combination of both?
Well, ideally, you should move the bulk of your goods. The regular one, the important products, you should find long-term contract solutions. And you should work on your relationship with your carriers to ensure that you can service your customers. But clearly, spot is something that will, and you saw that from the previous graph as well, right? It is really have exploded. And it's necessary to meet the demands of the customers because, again, volume shifts very rapidly. And one thing that shippers have always been extremely bad at doing, and even more so in the wake of COVID, is to forecast volumes properly. Macro level is quite nice. They can say, yeah, by the tens of trillions of transports, we're at 9.85 trillion. Great. But if you break it down on actual transport moves across Europe, you will see that discrepancies are horrendous in the forecasting versus what is actually moving. And this is really a hot topic, and it's something that always will drive spot needs. But to the question that I answered to was really, how can spot be a sustainable solution to meet requirements? And my answer was yes, by making it systematic, in a tool, a digital tool such as Tendereasy, you will get away from the phone calls, from the emails, from the back and forth, and you can do that with already pre-qualified carriers, full traceability, full accountability, and full auditability of those moves. But again, as much as possible, try to make contracts. But yeah, we will see that before it was maybe 90-10. Contract versus spot. I think today we are at maybe 60, 2/3 are contracts and 1/3 is spot, or maybe even in some cases 50-50. So yes.
Great, thank you. I think we have a couple of minutes maybe to tackle a last question. Sorry. Where do you see the collaboration between, Upply, FX, Tendereasy moving forward? FX being Teleroute. Is there anything you can share, or a bit more insights on the ideally next steps?
Yeah, maybe Frederick, I will just start by merging the question with another one that I've seen regarding do you have an index on capacities? This one question was quite good, because the partnership that we started, that we are starting with Alpega, Teleroute, and Tendereasy, is to share information, to share data, to then provide this kind of index. We have some index of prices, benchmark of prices. The one of capacities, or the spread between the offer and demand, for instance, is something very interesting. To have also an index of fuel, the fuel cost cross countries, for instance, or between certain countries in Europe. This is also a request that we have a lot, and this is exactly the place to make this kind of data and benchmark with the sharing the knowledge that we have all together here.
Yeah. Exactly right, and making those indices available at the fingertips of the users. I mean, I think that is one of the main slogans of Upply, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think
sharing data, that's the whole point, right? Or
sharing the data and making it available on the daily tool of our users. We don't want to create a new platform, a new something. If they are using today Tendereasy 𝘱𝘳𝘰𝘨𝘮𝘮𝘦, if we can directly merge the information in their tool, this is the best.
Yes, exactly.
Good.
Indeed. Great. I think then we're perfectly on time here. So just for the audience, as you can see, there are the 3 email addresses on the screen. If you have any questions for Frederick, Alpega TMS, you have the TMS email. If you have any more questions for Thomas, Upply, or more info about the freight exchange, Teleroute, then you also have an email address there. Of course, we will be happy to also follow up in any topics, any questions that you may have afterwards on a one-on-one basis. And last but not least, of course, I would like to thank you all for joining us this afternoon. I hope you found it interesting. And again, thanks also to our speakers, to Frederick, to Thomas, and to Gerrit for spending this hour with us. We hope to be in touch soon, and we already wish you a very nice summer ahead.
Yes. Thank
you. Bye-bye.